So today I'm going to talk about why we moved out of Austin, Texas. So before we get started, definitely check out this video where I talk about the things that I love about Austin, right? So if you're from Austin, or you have family in Austin, or you just love Austin, please, this is not coming for you. Okay? Don't come for me, man. Like, don't come at me, because I do love Austin. Austin definitely holds a special place in my heart, but we did move. We did feel the need to move, and here are the reasons why. Okay, so something y'all should know about Austin, if you were born and raised in Austin and you still live in Austin and you're here, this is something that you should know. Austin is in Texas, right? We know that. Austin's in Texas. When you move outside of Austin and you tell people that you're from Austin, you will come to realize Austin is its own thing. It's in Texas, but it might as well be its own state. Hell, its own planet when you're talking to other people in Texas. I'm not exaggerating. I've lived it, y'all. Texas as a whole has a certain, I'm going to say, vibe and a certain way of thinking. This is individuals, of course, will differ. So please, I'm not trying to loop everybody in or put everybody into the same box. But I can tell you, if there was a box that is Texas, Austin is outside of that box. Thinking outside the box, that's Austin, okay? And I'm living this on so many different levels, some of which I cannot get into, but I can tell you that when you move out of Austin to anywhere else and you tell them that you're from Austin, and especially out here in the country, I have gotten looks of disdain, disgust, surprise. I've had some people flat out laugh at me. Oh, you're from Austin, right? Because they just assume that everybody in Austin is different than them, which may not be too off par, but being different isn't always bad. Of course, that's the whole thing. That's not really, I guess, why we moved out of Austin, but I guess a disclaimer before you move out of Austin. If you live in Austin and you're ready to go, I need you to take that into consideration. And I'm not kidding. Please leave me a comment if you've moved out of Austin and you've moved anywhere else in Texas. Let me know. Was the reaction the same? Because it's bad. It's bad here. Like, I flat out almost will not tell some people, and I have to feel them out that I've moved from Austin. They are not fans around here. One of the reasons that we did move out of Austin, and one of the things that I don't miss about Austin, is the traffic. It's pretty epic. And I'll put an article down in the description about the construction now that they're having to do, which is going to cause even more traffic. So if you work 15 to 20 minutes away from where you live, and that's driving straight through, and you're in Austin, you're going to need to leave an hour early. I would say maybe even more than an hour early. And of course, that's depending on what time. There's rush hour in every city. But there's something about Austin traffic that was just epic. I mean, it's epic. And I've lived in Houston. I've lived in North Carolina. I have lived in different places, y'all. Austin's traffic is pretty spectacular in how crappy it is. What feeds into that, another reason that we wanted to move out of Austin, is how crowded it has become, or it has become. It is becoming. You may or may not know that there's an influx of people moving from California to Austin. It really isn't that much of a divergence as far as the mindset, I think, from the people that live in a California kind of atmosphere to move into Austin. Again, Austin is not like every other place in Texas. And with that influx of people, and you've heard maybe, and I'll put some links in the description about this happening, but living it is different. So I was on a flight coming back into Austin. And I mean, I could hear the people behind me talking about how they moved from California to Austin. So it's a whole thing, and it's causing a very big issue with how crowded it is. That does feed into the traffic issue, which is one of the reasons that we wanted to move out. So Austin's infrastructure, their roads and their highways, it's not equipped to handle that kind of growth. One of the other reasons that we decided to move out of Austin, and this is where it gets a little maybe kind of controversial, is the homelessness issue. So no, I am not that person that has blinders on and thinks that homelessness is not an issue. It is. I understand that. I understand it's something that needs to be dealt with. The difference with Austin and other places that I've lived in cities, is that in Austin, the homelessness is more in your face. And I've heard that California has something very similar. I'm not saying that there's a parallel there. I have never actually been to California, but I'm just telling you that, based off of what I've heard and what I've read, homelessness is this kind of an issue in California. And the kind of issue that I'm talking about is encampments. I've never lived in a city before where there were homeless encampments. We didn't live in the best area of Austin, but we didn't live in the worst area of Austin, right? So we're kind of, middle class. I would say kind of middle class. Is that a thing? Middle class? Just like uber middle class. And it's a 5-minute drive, right, to the store. And in that 5-minute drive, you can pass 2 separate homeless encampments. And what I'm talking about encampments is large areas, or areas that at that point have almost been completely designated for homeless people, to the point where the city was actually putting trash bins and receptacles out there to try to keep that area cleaner. I am gonna link the city of Austin down in the description so that y'all can check this out. And it's very clear that they are aware that this is an issue, and sometimes they will have to close these encampments down. And those people that were staying in those encampments have to move to a different encampment, because Austin is not equipped to handle the amount of homelessness that's happening. It's chronic, it's prolific, and it is not to be ignored. You cannot ignore it. You can't. If you had blinders on and you have been through Austin and you've lived in Austin, and you can say that you do not recognize that homelessness is a huge problem there, you are not paying attention. And that's very opinionated of me to say, but it's true. We didn't move out to the country to escape homelessness. It's an issue here as well. We have people that are homeless here as well, and they will, at the local Walmart, you see that. But I've never lived anywhere where it was such a visible, epic problem. And I mean, maybe it's not, maybe some people don't think it's a problem. Maybe just how it's being dealt with is a problem. All right, and on to the number one reason we moved out of Austin. Y'all should know, maybe you don't. It's the cost of living. The cost of living in Austin is extraordinary. It's extraordinary for me being a Texan, because I have not lived in any other place in Texas where the cost of living was so absolutely high. And it's not just high right now, it's increasing. It's increasing. Before the pandemic, it was high. During the pandemic, it's high. We're coming out of it, and it is high, y'all. For the amount of money that we were spending in rent for a borderline 1,000 square foot shoebox apartment, basically it was a duplex, across the street from a train track, For the same price, we were able to get an almost 3,000 square foot manufactured home. Just the home. It's equal. It's equal. The cost of living in Austin is amazingly high. That will run, I think, anyone out of a city. It gets to the point where you start weighing, like, with this amount of money that I make, can I have a better lifestyle somewhere else? And if you think of it like that and you're willing to make that move, you're gonna move out of Austin, especially if you can keep the job. Like, I was able to keep my job because I work from home now. So that was huge. That was a huge deal. But the cost of living there, it was just crazy. We wanted to move. I wanted to move into a different house in Austin, making what I make. That was going to be impossible. I mean, you're not going to be able to always do that. I was able to buy a house in another part of Texas. And to me, it's huge. Y'all, I ain't living fancy. But to me, it's a huge house. I mean, we could fit 3 of our apartments that we had in Austin into this house that I'm living in. And so that was the number one reason that we moved out of Austin. It just became cost prohibitive for us to live there any longer. Y'all go ahead and leave me a comment, okay? And let me know, what did you think about this, about the reasons that we moved out of Austin? I would definitely be interested to hear what your opinions are. Be nice, right? Because we're all people here and we all have feelings. So respect the feelings in the comments for sure, and keep it clean down there. But when it comes to the homelessness issue, what did you think about that? Have you ever lived through that? Did you live in Austin or did you drive through Austin? Are you from California? If you're from California, leave me a message. Like, what do you think about that issue?